Hello, and welcome back to the Mesa Art Center's Connect with Mac online writing prompts. My name is Tomas Stanton. I am the Engagement Manager here at the Mesa Art Center. And before we get into this session's writing prompt, I think there's a few things that I would like for you to know about me. My favorite color is green. I love red velvet cupcakes. Eggs give me really bad gas. One of my biggest fears is having to go number 2 on a first date. But my dance moves are amazing. Sometimes, but sometimes I'm just not in the mood to dance. Sometimes I'd rather play video games than cuddle. I go to the movies by myself because the movies is really expensive. And right now, I can't afford to fund my dreams and entertain this materialistic society. I'm just keeping it real. I typically only cry at church and funerals, so I try to avoid both of them. But seriously, with all joking aside, I wish society didn't tell men that men don't cry because there's many days where I feel like I just need to. I've never hit a woman, and I never will. But I have broken multiple women's hearts whose names I struggle to remember. And one of my goals as a father is to teach my son that is kind of like the same thing. My eyes are green if you look at them closely and in the right light. So most of the time they're brown because most of the time you'll never get close enough or in the right light. I am the perfect blend of my green-eyed mother and my brown-eyed father. My brown-eyed father left a hole in my mother's heart when the fear of fatherhood didn't mix too well with his whiskey. So my mother filled that void with poison ripping through her veins. I was born into this world high as a bird, destined to be an outcast, widening the hole in my mother's heart. My mother is a survivor. Her smile like an autumn sunrise. One of the reasons why I truly believe in God, we even share the same birthday. But they say I'm just a lighter skinned version of my father. I often wonder if he was a poet too. If he had figured out how to dance his insecurities behind fancy words and metaphors just like me. They say I'm all the good that my father was too afraid to be. Well, I wonder if fear is hereditary and if he'd be proud of all the skeletons that I keep trapped in my closet. All those childhood dreams I drowned in cheap 40-ounce bottles. All these adulthood dreams I now drown in top-shelf Moscato. You see, upgrading your taste doesn't really change the facts. Hello, my name is Tomas, and I'm a lover of love. But I'm really scared of the commitment that it must be rooted in. That's why I often run from things that I should face and die face first, and the things that I should run from. If I were a website, I'd be into construction. A work in progress, a no 20-day money-back guarantee. I've been told that I have pretty feet. But most days, I only walk barefoot when I feel safe. So more than likely, you're just gonna have to take my word for it. But like I said, my dance moves are amazing. Sometimes, but sometimes I'm just not in the mood to dance. All right, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get into this session's writing prompt. For this session, we are gonna write what's called an honest poem. An honest poem is a poem where you write and tell the world all your deepest, darkest secrets, fears, insecurities, and anything that you probably would never tell people because you're too embarrassed to. And the reason why we do that is because there is great power in letting go of all of those things. Because as humans, we are not just made up of the great accomplishments and the great things and the great parts of our character. We are made up of a collection of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that ultimately is what connects us. So that is why we are going to write honest poems. Step 1 to writing an honest poem is to create a list. This list is going to be pretty simple and pretty easy, and it's just a guideline. So I'm going to offer you some suggestions to add into your list. But if there's anything that pops into your brain that you think is also important to put into this list, then feel free to do it. It is your world, it's your poem, and it's your truth. So in this list, start out pretty simple with, hello, my name is, and then write your name. What is your favorite color? Your favorite food or dessert? What is your biggest fear? Create a metaphor for that fear. What do you daydream about? And what are your hobbies? Now remember, this is just kind of a jumping off point. If there's any inspiration that sparks during this time, feel free to follow that inspiration. And the most important thing at this stage is to just remain honest because we're writing an honest poem. All right, step 2 is you are gonna watch one of my favorite poets, Rudy Francisco, and his honest poem. Honestly, no pun intended, this is actually where this prompt came from. I'll never forget the day that I saw Rudy Francisco perform this poem, and I just loved it. I loved everything about it. Most importantly, the aspects that I talked about in the beginning of how liberating it is to let go of all of these fears. So, watch Rudy Francisco's poem. We will put a link to his poem in the comment section, but you can also just Google Rudy Francisco Honest Poem. He's one of the most famous poets out there. It'll just pop up. And then also feel free to kind of go on that journey of watching other poems that Rudy has. And the reason why we do this is because it's very important to have a model poem as a source of inspiration. Really what we're doing is we're creating our own version of this honest poem. So there will be some similarities. Obviously, you want to make sure that you keep to the integrity of your poem, but this is why we watch other poets, because it's really important that we're not just writing poetry, that we're also consuming poetry. All right, now step 3 is to take all the momentum and inspiration that you have from step 1 and step 2 and combine them together and write your own version of this poem. Remember, we are just making a mess. First thought, best thought. This is your truth, your story. So don't try to compare yourself to other people. Writing is a journey that we go on individually. And if you decide to share that with the world, then that's your decision. But the writing process itself is between you, your inspiration, your story, your history, all of those things, right? So don't think too much about it. Just have fun, make a draft, a rough draft. If you want to take that rough draft and go into the editing phase, you can do that. But in this particular instance, just have fun, make a mess, and I can't wait to see and hear what you all come up with.